This is the second episode we're doing this week, and this time it's Jason, and Jason all by himself. You don't have to listen to Simon or Dean or Adam telling you that you're wrong with your opinions, or, well, you listen to the other podcast, it'll be a little different than the other one.
Yep, I'll co-sign all your bullshit.
Yeah, I don't have anybody to tell me that I'm wrong. I mean, I don't think we agree with each other that much as people might think.
No, we definitely have some major sticking points. But
let's start right off the bat. We're gonna preview this a little more in depth, but let's just talk about Mayweather and Berto. And as much as I want to think, and maybe a lot of people want to think that this is a big pay-per-view and it's Mayweather's last fight, in general, this just doesn't have the feel of pay-per-view weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez, when they fought on pay-per-view, there was more hype, surrounding it. You know what I mean? Like, that was such a more important fight, though, too. But there's just the general lack of media interest and the general lack of just hype surrounding this fight the lack of it is palpable. It's crazy to think that this is what we get for Mayweather's last fight. Like, this is the atmosphere that it's taking place in. So it makes me right off the bat think, no frickin' way could this be his actual last fight.
Well, do you think it's because it's Berto, or do you think maybe it's just we've had the biggest pay-per-view probably we've ever had? Do you think it's possible that we're just kind of in that period where we blew our load and then...
It's a combination. It's part Berto and part just maybe a little bit of fatigue, like you mentioned. What is there to do after you defeat your biggest nemesis for the past 5 years? Like, by Mayweather picking Berto, he cemented that there's nothing left in his legacy to build. You know what I mean? Had he taken on, this is something that we had talked about, but had he taken on a guy like Thurman or some other undefeated, like, young, hungry, up and coming fighter, it kind of says to fans, hey, I still have something to prove. But by fighting Berto, it says, fuck you guys.
Well,
like, I have nothing to prove.
You've seen The Wire, right?
What's that?
You've seen The Wire, right?
I haven't, but I know what's his name dies in the second season.
Don't even. Let's not even talk about anybody dying. But for those who haven't seen The Wire, okay, the first season starts off where the cops are pursuing this guy who's pretty much runs the drug scene in Baltimore.
Omar.
No, not Omar. Omar is just like a vigilante. He actually isn't. His involvement in the game is like a third party. The cops kind of see him as a necessary evil, and so do the drug dealers, although they don't really like him too much. But anyway, after the first couple of seasons, the original guys who started off where the cops were chasing and pursuing them, they kind of disappear. And it was like a back and forth Pacquiao-Mayweather thing between the cops and the bad guys, and their names were Avon and Stringer. But once those guys move out of the picture, what they did was they built up the next guy who was just as dangerous, if not more, in Marlo. And Marlo was ruthless. Like, if you watch the show, Marlo has people getting, like, killed with nail guns and then stuck in vacant houses that nobody can go into to hide bodies. And what I see here is that Mayweather took out his greatest foe, but nobody's done what Marlo did to establish himself as somebody, like, as a worthy adversary. So now we're just kind of left like, it doesn't make any sense if we're not just as interested if the cops just go after some regular, street dealers. Like, okay, fine, we got him, but that took one episode. You can't build a whole season off of that. And you can't build a huge pay-per-view off of anybody right now.
No,
unless he goes out of his weight class.
Right. You can't build a pay-per-view the size of Mayweather-Pacquiao or even anything half as big as Mayweather-Pacquiao right now with any of the current fighters. Like you said, remaining with anywhere between 147 and 154. You just can't do it. It'd have to be Golovkin, but even that, how sellable. I mean, it's intriguing to boxing fans, but the general sports audience still doesn't know Golovkin, so that doesn't make it this massive, like pay-per-view level event.
And you can still poke holes in Golovkin's resume.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. The other thing, my theory on this whole thing from the moment that the fight got announced was Berto was one of the first fighters to sign on with and believe in Heyman as a boxing manager, and this is kind of Heyman's gift back to Berto. Is like, hey, here's this fantastic payday for you for believing in me and believing that I could be a good boxing manager and that I knew what I was doing, because Heyman's kind of, Berto's been with Heyman for a while, and Berto was always made fun of for those massive paydays that he was getting on HBO for the level of opposition that he was fighting. Heyman has proven over and over again, just with Andre Berto's career, that he can make, a boxer a multi-millionaire and not have to fight the toughest opposition. And now freaking Berto has got Floyd Mayweather, the biggest payday in boxing. It's really kind of amazing. And if anything, I think it speaks to loyalty and Heyman's being loyal to Heyman and, Berto signing on early with Heyman. And it's kind of like a payback for that, maybe.
I think there's some element of truth there. There has to be. I mean, Berto was one of the original. I mean, Heyman started off, I remember when Heyman started to really start to catch on, he had about 10 fighters, and Berto was one of them. And way back when Berto first got his title shot on HBO and stuff, there was some attribution to that being being Heyman's doing. And Berto was in the middle of the whole period of time when HBO was being joked about. It's called Heyman Boxing, whatever. So I think there's some truth there that Berto's finally gotten his shot, despite being the opponent, being on the receiving end of so many fights where others went on to greatness, or at least not greatness, but an opportunity to achieve greatness. They all failed.
Yeah, right.
And
right. Berto was the consummate stepping stone to Mayweather. Like, how do you get to a Mayweather fight? Well, you beat Andre Berto.
Yeah.
Like that, so no.
And Berto had a pay-per-view lined up a long time ago against Shane Mosley. It was going to take place at the Staples Center. I remember seeing billboards for it everywhere and being excited that Berto, this fast, powerful fighter, was going to fight Mosley, who would just look like an absolute monster against Margarito. And then Berto pulled out of the fight because of the earthquake in Haiti to go provide aid, although there were rumors that that wasn't what was really happening. And then Mosley got the Mayweather fight.
Yeah, so, this could have been in play a long time ago. This could have been in play since way back then, and then things just got all shaken up, for lack of a better word. And now here we are. But let me ask you, do you think Mayweather actually goes out on a fight of this magnitude? Or, as in a fight that's without a lot of magnitude?
I think Mayweather, in his mind, is going out on the Pacquiao win. And this fight is just fulfilling his contract, and he's not really going to count it. He's like, yeah, I beat Andre Berto, but
this fight to me just proves there's nothing else left for him to do. Like, that's what he's saying to fans,
right? And like,
what else is there? I'm fighting Andre Berto.
Yeah, like that's his conscious statement, right?
Yeah, like, what do you guys want? I'm fighting Berto. Come on, give me a break. Like, I did it. I've done everything. I'm at the top of Everest. Now I'm fighting my way down. Like, you know what I mean? And it's only going to take me one fight to get there.
Let me ask you this: are you ordering it?
I am actually going to not order this fight. The only fights that I stream, this, are the fights that are on the UK that I just can't get access to any other way. Otherwise, I purchase all the pay-per-views. But as I was watching, who did I watch over the weekend? Their fight in the UK, Angela.
This past weekend, the Josh Warrington fight?
Warrington. Yeah, as I was watching the Warrington fight, I was like, oh, the quality on this isn't too bad. I could probably just do this for Mayweather Berto.
Yeah, but now you're stealing.
Yeah, I know. There's a chance I'll end up buying it. It depends. It honestly depends. I've actually invited a couple people over to the house, and nobody has any interest in coming over, even if it's Mayweather's last fight. Like, non-boxing fan friends. They have no interest in it. So if it's just going to be me and my wife, it's going to be hard to justify like a $70 price tag for Mayweather versus Berto. I'm sorry. It just really is.
So I have two questions for you. One, the first one is, do you think that maybe the lack of hype around this fight is just that Mayweather's last fight was a disappointment, and if it was more entertaining, there would be more hype.
I think maybe if it was closer, like if we saw like a super competitive fight, and
What
we
if he
saw a
beat
fight.
the hell out of Pacquiao? Like, just
Oh,
real obviously, Pacquiao had nothing. Like, it looked like the Guerrero fight.
that's kind of what it looked like. Uh, my scorecard was 10-2, and I'm not
Might
doing
have to
any of
edit
this
that out.
revisionist fucking history that I've been seeing lately either. That it was a close fight. It wasn't a close fight. Um, do I think that had that fight been more exciting? Yeah, possibly. Um, uh, I don't know. The general sports fans just knew Mayweather Berto. Excuse me. General sports fans knew Mayweather's name, and they knew Pacquiao's name, and they knew they were like relatively close to each other in weight at any given time. You know what I mean? So there was a whole flurry of factors that went into making that like the exciting, massive fight that it was. Had that fight had like Mayweather just completely and utterly dominated him, like pillar to post, do I think this would get any more hype? Or like, I guess the question you have to ask is, had Mayweather knocked out Pacquiao, would this, would people be more interested in the Berto fight? And it would be like, no, because it'll probably fucking knock Berto out too. You
Well,
know what
he
I
might
mean?
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, he needs Khan for that. Um,
Always got to take digs at Khan. People don't like that. He has fans. Berto doesn't. Say what you want about Berto.
well, there's nothing bad to say about Berto besides he's obviously going to get popped for Peds. Um,
All right. Well, let me move on to my other question I had for you, which
Go ahead.
was,
Did I answer that one?
uh, amongst others,
Okay.
the other question I had for you is, if you're not going to order it, and maybe you have some hesitancy to stream because everybody's going to be trying to stream,
I
and
do have some hesitancy to stream. Yeah, exact for that
why
exact
don't you go
reason.
to a theater?
Oh, personally, I have a child, so it just makes
Take
that.
them.
Uh, eh,
You got to start them early.
yeah, he'll watch it the day after. That's what I like about being able to order fights is I can record them and he's asleep by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So he won't even be up by the time the bell rings for the first undercard fight.
All right, fair enough. Let's almost on the Mayweather topic. You do know, and if you're listening at home, you do know that Mayweather owns the WBO welterweight title. Like that should be his, but it's not anymore because they stripped him because the WBO is actually called the top rank title. That's their body.
Yeah,
And
that's their.
obviously they stripped Mayweather of their version of the belt that he won from beating Manny Pacquiao. And believe it or not, Tim Bradley versus Brandon Rios is the fight that's scheduled and looking likely to be for that belt. And Sadam Ali is the number one contender. So Bradley owns it. He got it from beating Vargas. Fair enough. Sadam Ali is the number one contender. And Sadam Ali is saying, I'm not stepping aside. I will not take any money. I want that title belt. Brandon Rios, get out of here. And Brandon Rios earns that shot because he...
Has the name Brandon Rios.
Correct.
Right.
And let's make no mistake. Bradley Rios is a more entertaining fight than Sadam Ali versus Tim Bradley.
Oh, I don't want to go I don't want to go crazy, man. Like, give me Rios's recent career highlights.
No.
Exactly. All I'm saying is Saddam Ali is actually a boxer that's on like the upswing. Rios, hasn't done anything of super note lately. He got, outclassed by Pacquiao to be expected. He completely and utterly dominated
Mike Alvarado.
In
You
Alvarado's.
saw that
You know what I
shadowboxing
like,
video.
exactly. Give me thank you. You know what I mean? Let's not, we don't have some reinvigorated Rios who, Rios looked fast. Yeah, in comparison to what? A heavy bag. When the heavy bag, Rios is the one who's the heavy bag. When the heavy bag looks fast, there's a fucking problem.
Well, he was also in a close fight with Diego Chavez.
There we go. Yeah, that some people were scoring that as a loss for him up until the DQ, right?
I think I had Chavez ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So, in my opinion, though, Saddam Ali versus Bradley is a fun, great fight. HBO, get out of the way. Like, let that fight happen.
Well, I don't think it's HBO. I think it's Top Rank.
Well, I heard HBO was saying that that wasn't a fight that they would buy.
Oh, really? Well, I
Yeah.
didn't hear that one. Well, it's disappointing because you
Oh,
want to
any
make
of the
Bradley a
fights are
star.
good.
Don't have
Yeah.
him beat people that have already been beaten. Bradley has the potential to be a star, just given that he's in entertaining fights. He gives it his all. His all. He brings a lot to the table, and he has a terrific manager and his wife. You want to take Bradley to the next level, have him beat somebody coming up that looks unstoppable. Sadam Ali looks fantastic, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if Ali would beat Bradley.
Exactly.
But, maybe they want to keep the belt on a top ranked fighter, and that's why Ali's getting left out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Golden Boy and Top Rank are left in the sandbox together alone. You know what I mean? They got to work with each other. So hopefully, there's not going to be too much like belt holding and that kind of stuff. But that's a really good point. But they're left to play together, so they kind of have to make things start working out between each other. So they don't have anybody left to play with.
Right.
Rios Bradley is a good fight, but personally, I would prefer Bradley Ali. I just think that's a more intriguing fight. You
If they're
know,
real
it
interested in putting Rios in the title picture, why don't they just say, Ali, go fight Rios, and the winner can have Bradley, like
Bradley.
guaranteed?
Yeah,
I mean,
Tho-
obviously, that's not how it works, but
no, but any three of those fights would be good. You know what I mean? All three of them are good.
just do
So
them both on the same night.
yeah,
Let's stay on welterweight. Kell Brook announced he's going to fight Diego Chavez same day that the Klitschko Fury fight's going to happen. Sky pay-per-view. What do you think about this fight? I think Chavez is way tougher than he's given credit for, but only as an opponent. He makes things tough, but I don't think he can win.
yeah. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it in him to like beat these top guys. He just has it in him to give them a hell of a time. You know what I mean? And he's shown that over and over and over again. That he's tough, rugged guy, and if you tread lightly on him or you come in underprepared, he'll he'll throw you off. But if you're a top level, top five level guy, elite level talent, you're going to be able to get by Diego Chavez. So I think it's a good, honestly, with the way Brooks' career went with his injury and everything, and now he's kind of on the mend, getting back into the picture. I think Chavez is actually an okay fight for him. I know he's kind of taken a lot of flack for people saying the level of competition isn't there, but you got to take into consideration his leg was chopped off with a machete not too long ago too. So I think it's okay. I'm okay with the fight. I do think Brook should outpoint him relatively easily. And then after this, I got to see Brook in with another title holder.
There's a lot of talk that Brook wants Bradley, and we'll see if Bradley can beat Brandon Rios.
I hate to say it, but I think if we're like playing the stock market, I'm selling on Bradley right now. I don't think we're going to see a lot of great victories coming out of Bradley.
Yeah,
It really depends on who he's in with, obviously. But if he's in with a high level of competition, the guy has given so much in the ring already. I just don't know how much he has left to give, and I would sell on Bradley right now.
yeah, and you're a big Bradley fan. You've
Yeah,
always supported
exactly.
Bradley, but
So
I
I have
agree
no
with that.
problem.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at his last few fights,
He
he
should
shows
not have
signs
won
that he's
the leg.
great,
Yeah, but
but the lapses, including dropping his trainer in Joel Diaz, who knows who's going to replace him.
the hell is going on there?
Yeah, it just points to Bradley's not clear where the source of his ineffectiveness in his fights is coming from.
But he knows it's there.
Right. At least he's acknowledging it. But the
Right.
real problem there is Bradley's discipline. I mean, the guy, you know he has a high level of discipline. If you just look at his body, the guy's a maniac when he trains.
Yeah.
But in the ring, he has these lapses where he thinks he's somebody else. He must have watched too much Pacquiao. He might be a big fan of Pacquiao, where he thinks that he can go and fight like that. But it's just not there. Let's
Yes. It makes me worried that we may have seen the best of that Bradley has to offer.
which is good. And if you were to think like, okay, Bradley doesn't get any better from this point on. He's had a good career. He has technically a win over Manny Pacquiao, although it was undeserved. But I mean, A bit
Well,
disappointing given Bradley's athleticism and his stamina and just what we've seen from him.
yeah, but I mean, he fought at the highest level of boxing for quite some time, and he's had a fantastic career. I don't want to put him in the rearview mirror quite yet, but all I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen the best that Bradley had already.
Okay, and if you were to pick who should be his next trainer, who would you pick?
David Jackson.
It's a tough one. I'm not sure that Bradley's going to go to Florida to train with Jackson, but it would be a great one. I'd love to see a sparring session between Bradley and Algieri.
Algieri, that's what I'm thinking. Like, he completely transformed Algieri into this, like, come forward fighter for the con fight. And, like, that kind of fighter is who Bradley wants to be instinctually, but then boxes. So I think setting him up with a trainer like that and having him fight in a style like that and getting him to sit down on his punches more, he might fight with more instinct rather than more intellect, and it might serve him well. Not to say that intellect and boxing, shouldn't be go hand in hand, but there's you see that thing in that like rawness in Bradley, right? That comes out every once in a while, and I think he needs a trainer that could harness that rawness and make it effective.
Right. When Bradley fights with his intellect, he tends to have lapses because he has to think about it versus.
Exactly.
And it's just, you could tell that just not the natural way for him to fight. I think Bradley needs to be more Hagler.
Right.
And he really thinks that he's Leonard.
Right, exactly. But get him in with a trainer that's going to let him be Hagler. And if he's got to take a couple punches to the fucking head, he's done it before. Like, Bradley could take a shot. You know what I mean? So he's got a chin. Let him take a couple punches and let him fight in that style that's more true to his essence. And
yeah.
Who knows what we'd see.
Bradley needs to embrace that his new nickname should be the fire hydrant because he's a little fire hydrant in there.
He really is.
All right, Manuel Charr. I don't understand this. So somebody's going off on him on Facebook or Twitter or whatever the heck. So Charr decides, I'm going to meet this guy up. I'm going to confront him.
He just happens to be in the guy's city too.
Yeah.
Like,
he's
he's
the
like,
guy shows up and says, "What's up, Charr?" Oh wait, I brought a gun with me because I know you're a professional boxer who fights in the heavyweight division. So why don't I shoot you? And now Charr is in hospital with gunshot wounds. Who's to blame here? Do we blame the gun?
Do you blame the gun?
Do we blame the guy who shot him, or do we blame Charr who let this get to him?
I blame the halal shop that they were at, the owner of the halal shop.
What, because there wasn't a metal detector at the door?
Because they didn't have bulletproof glass. Who knows? Like, this is just so crazy. It's one of those things where, there was a bunch of bad press surrounding Wilder and Charlie Z, right? You saw how that went down, and thankfully he didn't have a gun and was just willing to fight, Wilder. But I guess you got to learn a lesson from this is, unless your internet troll is Briggs, don't fuck with them. Like, don't get into it with them, because this kind of stuff could happen.
Right, and it's really tough as a person who's famous. I think you got to remember, I'm not saying that I'm famous, by the way. That came off that way. No. But if you're a famous person, I've learned this by listening to enough podcasts with like famous people, former athletes. Most of them, they don't even check their mentions. They don't check what people say to them because there's so many haters out there. There's so many people that want to bring you down, whether it's warranted or not. And it's best to just not even look at that because a lot of people out there, they got nothing better to do than to put you down. And Char's lost a couple of fights. Does he really need to look at what people have to say about him after getting knocked out? Probably not. And it's just sad that he went to meet this guy who's trolling him online and then gets shot.
Yeah.
That's one troll that was serious.
Yeah, and the thing was, who knows how much Charr actually even thought the guy would actually come, because I think he was just like, hey, I'm going to be here. You know what I mean? He didn't, like, go to this guy's house or, really start shit with him. He was more just like, hey, this is where I'm at. Come and get me.
Yeah, I'm going to have a coffee later on. Meet me here.
Yeah, and he came and got it.
All right, the next topic. So, by the way, Jason picked all the news topics for today.
The
Uh,
first time in Sunday Puncher history.
and he hilariously, I don't know why he did this, picked Juergen Braehmer versus Tommy Woesthuizen for Braehmer's regular light heavyweight title. That fight, which is announced, or I don't know, I haven't even seen a news article for it. But good job, Jason, because I'm sure you didn't watch the Braehmer fight.
Nope.
I'm sure you don't know who he. I bet you couldn't pick him in a lineup.
I think he's white.
What gave that away? Because his name is Juergen.
Yeah. I know that Oosthuizen got in a motorcycle crash and has horrible work ethic, and that's why he has to fight at light heavyweight.
And he fought Jhonny Gonzalez on HBO After Dark a couple of years ago, and fought to a draw, which he should have lost. Braehmer this weekend looked pretty good. I'm not going to deny that, but he was fighting a guy who had taken like 3 years off of boxing, and after the first or second round, decided I just want to defend here. I'm not really interested in hitting you. The announcers kept they weren't the German announcers, by the way. They were the Sky announcers, which was even funnier. But they kept talking about Braehmer versus Kovalev, and they were like encouraging it, like this was a tough fight for Braehmer, but one he should fight. And it was like, come on.
Come on.
One of the things about this fight, and this is, I don't mean to be condescending or diss Braehmer or anything, but where did Braehmer's hair go? Like, my memory of Braehmer is that he had a fairly full head of hair. It was thinning, but he suddenly looks 100 years old in the ring. I don't know where his hair went. And then just to recap this past weekend, we had... What did we have? Oh, yeah, we had the Josh Warrington card, which is basically the only notable fight of the weekend. Warrington looked fantastic against Joel Brunker, but Brunker is not that challenging of a guy. But Warrington looks like he's ready to compete on the world level. Who knows how he'll do when he gets there, but does he deserve a spot fighting on that stage? Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about this week's coming fights, and we have got one of the most jam-packed weekends of boxing ahead of us. This is unprecedented, and we are both lucky and unlucky that we don't have enough time probably to fit all this boxing in. Okay, let's start with Friday night, True TV, the return of Oscar Valdez against Chris Avalos. So Avalos most recently was seen losing to Carl Frampton, getting knocked out, but not like Chris Avalos wasn't fighting in a way where he was probably going to get knocked out, because
he was getting knocked out no matter what.
Well, he was fighting like, you're going down or I'm going down.
Right.
This is how this is going. And Valdez in his last fight, with the expectation that he was one of the best prospects in the sport, he did look disappointing.
Certainly.
But
so this is kind of, I think, the right level of fight for him at this point.
Well, this is a tough level of fight because his last opponent was tough and wanted to give out as much punishment as he took. And he was able to take Valdez's punches, so he just walked right through him. And I think Avalos is a bit of the same. And I think they're really pushing Valdez to work on how he deals with aggressive fighters, because the thing about Valdez that people got wrong about him, and it's one of the reasons why people were so disappointed, is that Valdez doesn't have power. Nobody's going to respect his power, and he's going to have to rely on the fact that he's a superior boxer, and that's what he's going to do against Avalos. If this is a boxing match and Avalos isn't going to come forward and hurt him or anything, Avalos has absolutely zero chance. He has less of a chance than he did against Frampton.
Yeah, of outboxing him. But if he comes forward and applies pressure like he did in the Frampton fight, which I'd imagine is the outcome which I imagine is what he's going to do, who knows?
That's
who knows?
Anything for him.
Yeah, that's exactly. I don't care what trainer is at his corner. He's going to come out to kind of knock off Valdez's head, and who knows? It makes for an intriguing matchup.
And I think this is going to be good for Valdez to get more fighters like Avalos, and that is that he needs to work on being disciplined, because in that last fight, he was clearly outboxing him, and he was coasting, and then the crowd started booing, and Valdez starts opening up, taking big shots so he can land his own, and it's like, you can't do that. You don't have the kind of power where you're going to score a one-punch knockout.
Right, but that's what everybody was looking for out of him. You know what I mean? Blame
HBO.
Exactly. So
they didn't watch the tapes beforehand.
they set some pretty unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, and Verdejo fighting the week before with his one
Yeah,
punch power, that kind of messed Valdez up. But
but Verdejo went the distance in that fight too, didn't he?
yeah, he did. He
Yeah,
scored a couple of knockdowns.
knockdowns. Yeah.
Then Jesse Hart's going to be on the undercard. Jesse Hart's a nice prospect to watch. So is Igor
So
Makachev.
Mike Reed too.
Yeah, Mike Reed is also there, and then Eric De Leon. So the other guys, I think most people have seen Jesse Hart and Mike Reed and Igor Makachev, and these guys are all good. Makachev's trained by Freddie Roach, by the way. This is going to be Freddie Roach's addition to the light heavyweight division. But Eric De Leon's trained by Robert Garcia, and he's 10-0. I remember seeing him in his very first fight. And De Leon, I don't think that he's going to capture a title. But if he does pull it all together, this is a guy that's a must-watch. He's aggressive, he's exciting, and he's got power. So that's the True TV card. I don't know how many of these fights are going to get televised. I think the Valdez and Hart fight for sure, and then the other ones you can catch on TopRank.tv.
Yeah,
Also
they're
on
good.
Friday night
Yep.
is Adonis Stevenson versus Tommy Karpency. So you're the Adonis Stevenson fan. You tell me what you think about this fight.
Oh, that's how. Yeah. So if this is your first episode, you'll know that's complete bullshit. Well,
you like his power.
I think he's a one-armed fighter. He has a left hand, and that's it. That's what I think about him.
But if he's one-handed and he's so predictable and not good, why has nobody figured that out?
Because the closest that he got to fighting somebody, decent was Fanfara, who put him down on the canvas. Stevenson's vulnerable. That's the thing. He hits the deck. People are able to put him down. He's going to run into the wrong person. It's only a matter of time before he runs into the wrong person who's able to put him out.
Let's hope for his sake that it's not one of his fans.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Why Karpensky?
Well, I hate when I do this because I spend a lot of time previewing and writing out these previews.
I know. You have to make the fights look attractive.
Well, I do have to do that, but usually I come up with two previews, one for the podcast and then one to write about, so people aren't hearing the same thing. But I didn't think of anything for this fight for the podcast, so I'm just going to repeat what I'm writing, which is to say...
That's why you threw it to me?
Yeah. But the thing about this fight is that I think PBC is trying to keep Stevenson busy scoring knockouts while they can build up something for him, like an adversary. Because let's be honest, it's not going to be Kovalev. We know that.
It's not going to be Kovalev. It's not going to be Hopkins. And
so who's it going to be?
Who's the other kid with 7 fights?
Beterbiev, but it's not going to be Beterbiev either. And
exactly.
He's more one-dimensional than Stevenson is.
He's makes Stevenson look like Pernell Whitaker. So it's not going to be Beterbiev, who I think was PBC's hope. Was it Beterbiev Stevenson was going to be the fight we were all drooling over? But
I don't know if it's not going to be him, because maybe it is. Maybe he can develop, but the race is on. Stevenson's 37 years old. Can Beterbiev improve at 30 years old from where he's at right now to someone that people believe can beat Stevenson? I don't know. Maybe he has to get matched very right way.
That's unlikely. Yeah. So the bottom line is Stevenson's out there flapping in the wind. He's got no adversary. He's got no foe except his, dark past. That's his biggest. His biggest challenge. He hand out as many turkeys as he wants. PBC's got a tough sell with him.
So the options are Fanfara, Alvarez.
Fanfara's a great option.
Gladiator Alvarez. I don't know. He looks okay, but good enough to beat Stevenson? I highly doubt that. And then the other one, who's the wild card here, is Juergen Braehmer. No, I'm just kidding. It's Edwin Rodriguez. Rodriguez has power. His only loss has been to Andre Ward. And come on, let's be honest. You're not beating Andre Ward.
Yeah. But even he looked less than stellar in his light heavyweight debut.
Yeah, his first light heavyweight debut.
I think it was at 172 or something too. It wasn't.
No, it was at 176. We were there. We saw that fight. His first fight back from Ward, and then
he looked like hell.
he stopped his last two guys, and his last fight was good. Craig Baker, he fought on the DeGale undercard, and he
That
stopped
fight
the
got
guy.
stopped way too early. That
Yeah,
was one of the worst stoppages in recent history. But the
but was he not gonna win
he
that
was
fight?
doing very well. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but Baker was like, yeah, Baker like left that fight to go like put on his nurse's uniform, like to go to work. Like you know what I mean? Like the guy was like he like, okay, I'm gonna go fight this professional fight at a main on a main event. Then I gotta go to work, guys. You know what I mean? Like so his level of competition just isn't there. But hey, throw Edwin Rodriguez in the mix. It would make for a fun fight, that's for sure.
And maybe that's the next fight for Stevenson to keep him busy while, and this is my pick for who's next for that they're going to build up for him, and that's Marcus Brown. Brown is good. He's going to fight Gabriel Campillo on this undercard. He's undefeated. He's young. He qualified for the Olympics back in 2012. He looks like he could be a stand-in, somebody that's going to come in and maybe take over for Stevenson. And by the way, just think about this. He's 24. He's only had 15 fights. By the time he's ready for Stevenson, Stevenson should be ready to go. He
Well,
should be
that's
right for the picking.
what I was just saying. Yeah, we're almost looking at two trains kind of coming together. You got Stevenson's age, which he's not getting any younger, and then if you got a guy like that, you need to give him time to develop to be able to get to the level of a Stevenson, though. So it's kind of a balancing act from a promotional standpoint.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and that's why Stevenson's just in this no man's land with Kovalev being on the other side of the fence. It kind of puts both of those guys in weird positions. Like Kovalev's over here trying to beg one of the super middleweights to come and fight him.
Right, but I think Kovalev's got the fans on his side until his recent racist bullshit.
Until
He
his
had
next one.
Yeah, until he does it again.
Yeah.
And then main events craft some artfully crafted apology.
Come on, I believed it.
That was probably like the best part of it.
I bought that apology.
The two the.
All right. And then we also have Errol Spence on the undercard. And this is the very best welterweight prospect in the world. And then amongst the top in the world as well. He's going to fight Chris Van Heerden. And a lot of people may not have seen Van Heerden or maybe have seen his name, but have never actually seen the guy fight. Van Heerden's been around for a while. And this guy he's really good. This is a really good test for Spence at this point in his career. Van Heerden's not just this guy that's going to show up to lose. He's really tough. I don't expect Spence to have an easy time, but if he does, if Spence could just put Van Heerden away easily, that says a lot about Spence, because Van Heerden's had been a contender for welterweight, just on the cusp of getting a title shot for a while now. And if Spence beats him, Spence is in the running to fight someone like Sean Porter. Somebody who's not quite a titleist, but they're there too.
That's right up there. Yeah. BoxRec got him rated at number 25. So, for welterweights.
Van Heerden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty that's a pretty good fight for somebody at Spence's level.
Yeah, his problem has been promotional. He just doesn't have anybody that's promoting him, or not. He hasn't had a big promoter behind him. Also on the undercard is Tyson Cave. You remember Tyson Cave? He was in that controversial bantamweight.
That's right.
Yeah, he's going to be on the
I haven't
undercard.
heard that name in a while, yeah.
And then also on the undercard, Pritchard Colon, who we saw on the Molinagi and Garcia undercard. You may remember that complete mismatch that resulted in a very dangerous knockout.
Yep.
And then Jojo Dan returns on the undercard.
Oh, man. He's disappointed me.
Jojo Dan?
Yeah, I had high hopes for him, but then he proved to just, really have no defense.
Well, he is fighting a guy who we think is maybe next to take over after Mayweather in the welterweight division. Saturday in Denmark. Patrick Nielsen continues his return, which I'm sure everybody will watch. And then over in the UK, Anthony Joshua will fight for the Commonwealth Heavyweight Championship against Gary Cornish. Let's see. Bet on the first round.
Bet on the round, yeah. I don't know. Second round, I'll take the second round.
Like Cornish
Uh,
maybe is a good domestic heavyweight. Anthony Joshua has
maybe.
world level, just destructive power.
Yeah, well, it's the right opponent for the right belt. You rarely do you get to say that, He's,
And Joshua's problem is that he's a little too good for the pace that they're fighting him at. So he keeps knocking guys out really quickly. I mean, who thought he would knock out Kevin Johnson in 2 rounds?
Bonds,
And
baby.
and then Joshua's still. I mean, he hasn't been boxing for long. He did win a gold medal, but if you ask anybody who watched it, maybe Joshua got away with one in the Olympics. So they're trying to build up this Dillian White fight, who's also going to be on the undercard against Brian Minto, and Minto's okay. He's got 9 losses. Basically, he'll beat anybody who's not really good, and if you're good, then he'll probably beat them. I mean, Minto lost to a guy who was 0-1 this year. Granted, it was a 3-round fight, but
it goes to show you, if you're at a specific level, you're going to get past him with ease.
yeah. And Joseph Parker took 7 rounds to beat him, by the way, though. Joseph
Oh,
Parker stopped him, but it took 7 rounds.
wow.
So this is the easier fight, the more difficult fight of the two. Dillian White's going to struggle with Minto probably for a little while. If White's
Yeah,
any good, who knows how good
AJ's not
White
going to
is?
have any problems. Yeah.
No, bet the minute how long it's going to take for Joshua to stop him.
I would say I'll say 5.5 minutes.
I'm guessing that the over under is 4.5.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then during the daytime, Peter
Yep.
Quillin is back to fight Michael Zarafa.
That's right in Connecticut.
Right? Are you going to go?
No, I got stuff to do.
I'm going to sell this to you. You're going to go.
Let's say.
Okay, so Peter Quillin versus Michael Zarafa. Now you may be thinking, this is such an easy fight. Why is Peter Quillin fighting this guy from Australia who's already got a loss on his record? Does he have a loss on his record? I don't even know if he's got a loss on his record. But the guy's definitely not in his league.
You're asking yourself, why isn't he fighting Andy Lee, if you're honest with yourself?
Now, he's not fighting Andy Lee because Andy Lee thought he was going to get Billy Joe Saunders in a massive fight in
Which
the
would
UK.
have been amazing. Yeah.
It's a fight of the year candidate. It's,
Yeah.
they could fill up any stadium in the UK. That fight is going to be ridiculous. So he's kind of got bigger fish to fry than Peter Quillin, and especially now that Peter Quillin doesn't have a title, not a good fight. The other thing is that Quillin looked vulnerable in that fight. He looks like he hasn't fixed some of the flaws that we've seen for a long time, and that is that Peter Quillin, his chin isn't the sturdiest. He can be put down. He can be hurt. So Zarafa is going to test Quillin to see, okay, is Quillin like world level? Like he can outclass any guy who's domestic to intercontinental level? If he can, then fine, he's world level. But if he can't,
Exactly.
if he struggles, then he's not. So if this is a tough fight for Quillin, they got to go back to the drawing board with him.
Right.
Quillin should win. He should be massively favored. He should stop him because he does have power. But the real fight that you do not want to miss on this card is the Cornelius Bundrage versus Jermall Charlo title fight that's going to be on the undercard. This fight is going to really test Charlo. And Charlo, up until maybe last year, him and his brother were considered top 10 in the world in the prospects. And my opinion is that Jermall was the better one. He's not as well-rounded as his brother, but he's got power. His jab already as a prospect was one of the best in the sport. You can't find people who throw a jab better than him. And Bundrage is going to come in and test him in a way that nobody's been able to test him before, because what does Bundrage do? Well, he's old, so he fights like an old man. He makes things as ugly as possible. He
It's
gets
hard,
in your face.
as long, and as drawn out as possible.
Yeah. So can Jermall overcome that? Can he get his jab to work and keep Bundrage on the outside and maybe even stop Bundrage?
Odds are I think he can. I don't think he's going to stop Bundrage, but I think he's going to be able to. He should be able to outpoint him. But Bundrage is just the right amount of banana peel that if you're not ready for that fight, you're going to slip and it's going to be ugly.
Yep, and it's one of those where if you lose to Bundrage, you're not coming back. It's going to take a long time to rebuild. because Bundrage is one of those fighters that takes stuff away from you. That takes a long time to come back. Hopkins is the same thing. He's a guy that demoralizes you while he beats you. And he doesn't have to do it by outboxing you from the outside, but by getting in your head for 12 rounds. Also on the undercard is the return of Hugo Centeno against Lucas Mashik. I don't know how to say this, but Centeno was like made everybody forget that Julian Williams was going to outclass him a while ago by knocking out James De La Rosa with a ridiculous uppercut.
Yeah.
He's lost all that momentum, and now he's going to rebuild it. And Lucas Mashik, or whatever his name is, it's a good test for him. It's a good comeback fight, and it's just competitive enough that this fight actually matters. And Centeno is, if he can continue, is going to be a valuable addition to the middleweight stable for Premier Boxing Champions. Then Marcus Brown is also on the undercard, who is going to be the guy who I think will be built up to take over after Stevenson. How do you not want to go to this card?
Oh, it's not that I don't want to go. It's a long drive.
Connecticut's like 100 miles across.
Yeah, 100 miles, 60
I
miles. I
can't even get out of LA County if I drive 100 miles.
No, it's about 90 minutes away from me, and plus it's the night of Mayweather Pacquiao, so I'm going to be driving all around.
Berto.
Mayweather Berto.
nice
That's how much I care about this fight.
You're gonna watch a rerun?
I'm gonna pay and then watch a rerun of Mayweather Pacquiao.
Mayweather Berto is gonna be more entertaining though.
Significantly.
All right. Next up is the Mayweather Berto under pay-per-view. But before we jump on that, I wanted to talk to you about Virgil Hunter on the broadcast yesterday, and every time they would ask him about next week's fight.
Did you happen to see there was one point where they actually panned to him and they were looking at him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of times it was just his voice, but there was one point when the camera was on him and they were talking to him about the fight.
Paulie was giving him that look like...
Paulie was like...
Keep it together, man. Keep it together.
Just hang through it, man. 10 seconds. Just promote the fight for 10 seconds.
That was the longest part of that broadcast. Watching...
It was cringe. It could have hit
Hunter hold it together.
Yeah. It was so funny. It was so funny. He knows he's got no chance,
I think he knows he's got the smallest chance he's ever had in a fight of training fighters, because usually he's on the other end where he's listening to the other guy say like, oh yeah, we have a chance to get Andre Ward. No, you don't.
He had to remember, what did Ward's opponent say?
What was Robert McCracken saying before the Froch fight? How did he frame that one?
How did he phrase it? Oh, right. Yeah. To say the least, Hunter's not used to being on that side of things.
But he's had plenty of practice listening to guys lie their way through interviews like that.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that Kameda and McDonnell scoring? How'd you
I'll be completely honest. Okay. I actually have a scorecard for that fight. I could,
We'll finish the previews after, guys.
I had it 114-113 for Kameda. I had it, so I slightly favored Kameda.
What did you like that had you score Kameda 7 rounds? That sounds like you scored it 7 rounds for him.
What I liked was his ineffective aggressiveness.
Okay. All right, which translates to, I like that Kameda walked forward.
Forward, right, exactly. No, a lot of it is a lot of what McDonnell didn't do for me. Kameda, I thought, so here's the thing. There were at least, let me preface this. I should have prefaced this. There were at least 4 rounds that were complete and utter swing rounds. So in my mind, at least, yeah. So in my mind, like almost no matter how you score this fight, within 2 to 3 rounds either way is completely fine. Like it was one of these things where I was like doing this balancing act where I was like, oh well, I gave that last one to Kameda. Maybe I'll give this one to McDonnell because it looked like he landed a couple more shots, but like McDonnell just wasn't very active. But I also thought,
sure?
Yeah, he wasn't. He had a lot of movement. he didn't throw a ton of. It didn't seem to me though as though he threw a ton of punches, and it felt like Kameda's power was being completely overrated by the commentating team. So like the punches that he was landing, it looked like they weren't really hurting McDonnell too much. Um, I don't know. I didn't see McDonnell being very effective. I saw him going backwards, fighting off the back foot, but not being super effective at being able to hold Kameda off. How'd you score it?
I had McDonnell winning 7-5.
Yeah.
And I'm completely okay with anybody who says anybody won, because each guy had their moments and each guy had an argument. But here's why I scored it for McDonnell. Kameda came out for the first 2 rounds, and I thought he was going to stop McDonnell. That was not the Kameda we saw in the first fight. That's not the Kameda I've ever seen. But after the second round,
I had the first
faded,
2 rounds for Kameda.
And he changed. And the fight really changed when McDonnell started to back him up. Once Kameda started backing him up, he conceded rounds like crazy. And I thought there was really no way that Kameda could come back unless he started consistently landing. And
See, that was
that
the difference.
point,
At 6 through 8, I mean, 6 through 8, I had for Kameda, who I thought was just landed the better. He would land harder, cleaner shots throughout the course of the round. Like, McDonnell would get some work in, but Kameda was the one who was landing the harder, cleaner shots.
yeah, and the thing is,
I don't know. It was a tough fight.
McDonnell was controlling the fight with his jab. He was planning his jab on Kameda consistently in every round. So in all the swing rounds where they both landed power shots, I just look who won the fight, won that round with the jab, because they were matching each other with the power shots. McDonnell was just controlling with the jab.
They were matching each other maybe, but Kameda's had significantly more power to them.
Maybe. I don't know about that. Kameda's head started getting snapped back after like the 7th round. So I don't buy into that Kameda had more power and was doing more damage. He was the one that had the swelling on his face. And McDonnell's face hasn't always held up well in fights.
McDonnell. Go back and look at their faces, man. Kameda's face was perfectly fine at the end of that fight.
Swelling.
It was.
He was swelling. There was a little blood too.
No.
I'm looking at the PBC website, and they have it 8-4 for McDonnell, which is wider than I thought.
Yeah, I don't 8-4. Yeah, I don't know. It still almost seems within reason. Like there were so many swing rounds. It was a really tough fight. It was a really tough fight.
I'm trying to look for some fight stats because those guys threw a ton of punches.
Yeah, but there was a ton of misses.
Yeah. No doubt. Each guy was missing. I mean, I just think McDonnell was the better ring general. He made Kameda alter his game plan and made him change what he was doing. The last thing about the McDonnell-Kameda fight, and I don't even think the Durrell fight's worth talking about. But
oh god,
do you want to see a rematch? These guys are so equally matched in everywhere.
Really yeah.
But how interesting was this fight to you?
It was fun to watch, but I don't think neither of their performances. It would have been. Here's the thing: had Kameda been able to get a victory on the scorecards, I would be cheerleading a rematch. But now that it's 2-0, it's like it makes you It would have been more fun for a trilogy had it been 1-1.
Right. The funny thing about this is when I was like, what is this? What did they call it? I guess the announcer. I thought he was messing up when he said, and the judges have it. And I was like, wait, it's supposed to be split.
Yeah.
Why aren't you saying who's winning on what card? Like, I was really prepared for, the 118, the 111, Kameda, then the whatever. And
right.
That was shocking to me.
When they announced the first score card and it was pretty wide, and you just saw like the life from Kameda's face drain. He was just like, "There's no way I won the fight that wide." It seemed as though he kind of knew. It seemed as though he kind of knew right from the right after the first scorecard was read that he didn't have it.
Right, and Kameda has nobody to blame but himself. He was trying to do. He was really impacted by that jab.
He was. Well, McDonnell is just so long. He's just so big. You know what I mean? But Kameda fought a really smart fight. Those first, I I gave McDonnell the third round, but gave Kameda the fourth again. So those first, he did it. He was off to a really good start, but he managed. I had him edging it, but like we both said 100 times. This fight really could have gone either way.
Yeah. All right. Now back to the previews. Let's talk about the undercard first. So Vanes Martirosyan versus Ishe Smith. Which fight do you think has more potential to be ugly? Or which fight will you think is going to be the uglier fight? The Martirosyan versus Smith fight or the Charlo and Bundrage fight?
Ooh. That's tough. I think the pairing of Martirosyan and Smith has more potential to be ugly. Whereas Charlo might manage to just, box his way on the outside, keep Bundrage awesome, tie up when he needs to.
Yeah, there might actually be clean punches.
Right, exactly. Whereas with Martirosyan and Smith, I could see both guys being a little tough around the edges and rough. You know what I mean? Whereas with Bundrage, I could see Bundrage putting on a lot of that ugliness. Whereas in any kind of Martirosyan or Smith fight, they could be ugly, and you put them both together, it doesn't necessarily match well.
Who do you have winning this one?
I don't know. I think Martirosyan. I think it's a pretty toss-up fight. But Martirosyan might be able to pull it off.
He's saying that he's going to knock Smith out. Yeah, he's not letting his fights go to the undercards again. Smith is tough. I'm not Smith's a fan of his, but he is tough. I'll give him his credit.
Yeah, but Martirosyan also hasn't shown us anything to show that he's truly, truly exceptional. You know what I mean? So it makes you. Smith is going to be a tough competitor for him, and I think it's actually going to be a pretty tough, evenly matched fight. But I think Martirosyan should be able to pull it out.
Did you know, for some fans at home, did you know that Ishe Smith won a world title by beating Cornelius Bundrage? You may have erased that fight from your memory.
And God bless you if you've been able to do that. I still haven't.
Jhonny Gonzalez versus Jonathan Oquendo. So we have Jonathan, which is spelled correctly, versus Jhonny, which is spelled incorrectly. Jhonny Gonzalez won a very suspicious-looking fight in his last fight, and now he's on the Mayweather undercard. This will be entertaining at the very least. I mean, Gonzalez, he comes out to box and not box, but to knock guys out, and Oquendo's going to come out looking to make a statement. This should be a good fight. No, a good warm-up, a good plate setter. Is that what it's called? A table setter, maybe?
Yeah. Placeholder. I don't know. Is that on the televised undercard?
Yeah, I'd rather have this one televised than the Martirosyan versus Smith. What do you think?
From a fan point of view, yeah, sure. With Martirosyan and Smith, you're going to get more of a technical fight. You know what I mean? You're not going to get like a brawl.
That's one way to say it. Then we have a rematch between Roman Martinez versus Orlando Salido for the WBO / Top Rank super featherweight title. If you didn't see the first fight was great. Martinez dropped Salido twice in various rounds. Salido went to his old trick of, the nut shot.
The nut shot, yep.
And but Martinez looked really good against Salido, who hadn't looked good recently. I liked what Martinez did in that fight. I was really shocked that Martinez was able to hurt Salido at all, because I never thought of Martinez as a power puncher.
Right, but Salido leaves himself open enough that if you, if you're able to, I think you could catch him and hurt him pretty good, which I think Martinez was able to take advantage of.
Right, and I mean, Salido was dropped multiple times by a guy named Turd Sack Coquette Jim.
The more important part is Turd Sack.
Yeah, Turd Sack. This is worth the price of the pay-per-view, I think. This fight, it's going to be a war, and Salido's going to be pissed that he lost that first fight.
It is going to be a war. Yeah.
And Martinez he's not fighting in Puerto Rico this time. He's going to need to hold off everything that Salido's going to bring. And
Jack Groves has the potential to be a good fight too.
I was really shocked with Badou Jack, because I thought, if you're getting knocked out in the first round because you're throwing a jab that's getting countered, like, what hope do you have?
Because of a lazy jab? Yeah, well, that just goes to show you that, like, that's what being lazy gets you. You know
And
what I mean? That was completely the product of being overconfident and throwing a lazy punch, and bam.
and
That you could teach yourself not to do again, though.
right. And then when I saw him in the Darrell fight, and I didn't watch this live, I had it spoiled for me. So when I watched it, I was watching from like a different angle. I was looking for, okay, why did Jack win this fight versus, when you're in the moment, you're just in the moment. And he improved so much from what he was before the loss, and then in that Darrell fight. I never would have
Seriously.
thought he would have beat Darrell. I thought that was Jack was going to get knocked out again because Darrell had that kind of style where if you're lazy, he could knock you out because Darrell likes to jump in with power shots, and Jack did it to him. Like Jack was fighting with a much different timing than Darrell was ready for, and he couldn't even adjust to it. Jack was patient and he fought like a really responsible fight, offensively and defensively.
I think he learned his lesson. You know what I mean? And that's what it comes down to.
Do you think
Um,
also the pressure of losing, because he was signed to Mayweather Promotions, he was
exactly. He was
discovered
in
by
the next
Mayweather,
big
all this stuff.
thing, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, I think once you take that first loss, I think there's a little bit, it almost lessens the pressure, right? Is that what you were getting at? It's like now
Right.
that undefeated thing, that's no longer something you have to worry about. All you have to worry about is boxing.
And they always
Like,
say the most dangerous thing is a guy with nothing to lose.
right, exactly. So certainly that could play a role, for sure. And
Who
I think Badou Jack is one of those rare fighters who really learned from a loss. You know what I mean? Every fighter says they're going to go back to the drawing board and learn something. He's somebody who actually did. Um,
Right, because
that
think of
makes him
how many
dangerous.
fighters you see who lose and just look the same.
George Groves. I mean, the guy's fighting. You know.
Okay, so
But
you're not
anyways,
a George Groves fan by any stretch.
no.
So make your case for why Groves is losing this fight.
Well, it's mostly basically everything that you just pointed out is that Badou Jack's kind of, become a much more intelligent fighter since he took his first loss. He realized what he needed to work on the gym, and he's been able to fix that. Groves is somebody who's only lost at the top level of the game. So it's, kind of tough to judge exactly where he's at. Do you know what I mean? If your only two losses are to Carl Froch, where do you necessarily fall in? You know,
Right.
you don't have he doesn't have too many super signature wins that were he's got DeGale, right?
But they were
But
both
that was
like
early
6 years
on.
old.
Exactly, that was early on in DeGale, both their careers. You know what I mean? So from my point of view, Groves doesn't have a Groves doesn't have these really Groves' most defining moments are hitting the canvas twice. You know what I mean? Uh, Whereas Jack's more
He only hit
defining
the canvas
moment,
once, by the way.
right? Yeah, that guy, I suppose. But boy, was it glorious. Um, Jack's more defining moment. Maybe he's got Darrell, which I think is a better name than anybody you know um, on Jack's resume.
That's what I
And
was gonna say. In Jack's, I guess George Groves doesn't have a win on his resume that's as good as Jack's win over Darrell.
he just doesn't.
I
He
mean,
he
the,
doesn't.
the the win with DeGale was very close. It was I think it was a split decision or a majority decision. I can't really
Majority
remember.
decision. Yeah, 115, 114. Like,
So it's
that's a
not
round.
like
That's one
Groves
round.
outclassed DeGale.
Right.
So how much do we want to give him credit for that one? So at this point, Jack's got the better resume, although it's only made up of one significant fight versus Groves has got a lot of good wins over
Domestic.
domestic and like European level fighters. I mean, the Rebrasse fight, that's a good win. It doesn't tell you how much though that he's going to
Yeah.
do against Darrell. And I
Yeah.
think George Groves is going to be the favorite here, a slight favorite because he's got power. He's very quick. He does know how to box. And if Jack's wise and if they do their homework, they'll know that Groves does not like it to the body. They go to the body and stay patient. He'll fade late, and that's when they can take over the fight.
Exactly. That's the thing. Maybe you used to see the first four rounds to Groves, where all you do is throw body shots for the first four rounds, right? Maybe you
Sounds like
lose
a
them,
fight
but
night
you just
champion challenge.
But you lose those first 4 rounds, but you just rip him to the body as much as you possibly can. You know what I mean? That's how you beat Groves. And by round 7, he's done.
And
So
last but not least, what's your prediction for this fight and the Martinez Salido fight?
Martinez Salido, I don't even want to make a prediction on it.
The prediction is
My
blood.
prediction, I guess, I'll say Martinez. This split decision or majority decision, and but I'll pick Jack to win to beat Groves.
Knockout or decision?
Probably decision.
Fair enough. All right, and then last but not least,
What are your picks? Just
um,
put me out on there. I know.
this is what I do. I
I
don't
want
ever.
Martirosyan Smith too. I mean,
I think Martirosyan wins a narrow decision over Smith.
very close decision.
But
Yeah,
we'll score it at home, probably something like 97-92.
right.
Or actually, the math is messed up there. It's 97-93.
Right,
Gonzalez
but it
will
be
get
a-
stopped by Oquendo.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
I hadn't thought of making predictions, by the way, so I haven't really thought too much about these. Martinez will beat Salido by decision. I
Yep.
think Groves is going to get a split decision over Jack,
Okay.
and we will get a rematch. And for
That
the main
will be
event,
fun.
I think Berto gets the decision. No, I'm kidding. Mayweather's going to win by decision. I think this is going to be one-sided. I think it might probably look like the Marquez fight.
I think it will resemble the Guerrero fight. Yeah, which I guess they're basically saying the same thing.
If Mayweather isn't able to stop Berto, does that justify this fight a little? Like Mayweather and his retirement?
No, it doesn't justify anything not being able to stop Berto.
But if he can't stop Berto, like
It doesn't
maybe he
matter.
is
He's
done.
not fighting at a weight class where he has fragile hands, and he's not fighting at a weight class where he has the power. He's relying solely on
What weight
boxing
class does
abilities.
Mayweather have power at?
When he was knocking guys out left and right. Look at it
At
earlier in
lightweight?
his career. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure he can make lightweight anymore.
Yeah, no shit. So he has to rely on his boxing ability. So yeah, he's not knocking people out. If you're setting in to watch a Mayweather fight in the last 7 years and expecting a knockout, that's on you, not on Mayweather.
Well, do you think he knocks out Berto
Khan?
this weekend?
Yes.
No,
Oh.
Berto.
Has Berto been
Been
stopped?
knocked out. He's been stopped by Karras, but it was one of those where like the referee's like, okay, you're taking a lot of punishment here and you're slightly hurt, but let's also factor in that you have no arm.
Right. Right.
So let's just stop this. And that was in the closing moments of that fight.
Moments of that fight. Yeah, I don't think Mayweather steps on the gas enough to stop him.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm
Not that
not
he
quite
couldn't.
sure that
You
there's
know what I mean?
anything left to say on this fight.
Yeah. Not that like he couldn't, go. But why? The question is why, right? Why risk it? So
Yeah, if you really are intending to
on
go
any-
out now
If-
on
well,
top
if-
with all your money and all your brain cells, there's no reason to risk anything.
So what exactly? So even if you're not and you want to come back for one more fight, it's not against Andre Berto. It's not Mayweather Berto too. You know what I mean?
Can
So
you
why-
imagine?
So
I'm coming back for
I'm
Devin
back.
Alexander.
Finally
choose
gets
you.
Gets his chance.
I'm giving everybody the chance that thought they had one
Everybody-
but didn't. And Molinagi, you're next.
Yeah, everybody who got a fight on Twitter.
All right, that's it for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys got 2 podcasts. One was all about Mayweather and Berto, and then this one was only 50% about Mayweather and Berto. And then we mentioned a lot of names, but so to throw you off the scent, this is a packed week of boxing. We're really lucky this week that we get to see all of this action, including some of the top prospects out there, some of the most exciting guys out there. I mean,
Not
we
for
got
nothing.
Joshua,
It reminds me.
Valdez, and Spence.
It reminds me a lot of Mayweather Pacquiao. Remember, like there was like this resurgence going into the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, where the first the 3 weeks leading up to it and a couple weeks leading after it, you got like every big name in the sport fought.
Yeah, damn you, Mayweather, you're gonna retire, and we're not gonna get this anymore. We're gonna have to wait for everybody.
Yeah, when Mayweather fights, boxing happens around it. You know what I mean? Like it brings other boxers out. So yeah,
Everybody trying to capitalize on the quick
that
influx of
Mayweather
interest.
runoff. Exactly.
And then we have on Tuesday, we didn't really preview it, but I just want to throw it out there that Sammy Vasquez Jr. returns on Tuesday. But we'll talk about that more on next week's podcast.
Trout Hernandez
is tomorrow.
Yep.
We talked about that last week, though, but we have Trout winning that fight.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher if you haven't done that. And we have a boxing calendar on the website, which you should definitely
use the boxing calendar.
I update it all the time.
Yeah,
it lets you know who's fighting, undercards, channel, time, where, anything you want to know.
The time in your time zone, so you don't have to do any conversions. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so if you live in China, you'll know what time the fight's coming on in China. No need to do any sticky conversions.
Yep, it's really, really great.
All right, so that's it. Send us an email if you want to talk to us, podcast@SundayPuncher.com. We'd like to hear from you.